All right, guys, so before we move on to the next section and get to work on the Materialize framework, I just want you to set up the Sandbox, okay? So the Sandbox is a collection of HTML files that we have one for each section and one for each lecture, and each lecture will cover a certain aspect. So for instance, Section 2, Lecture 1 is on typography, and you can see the file name here, 21typography.html, and we have things like headings, paragraphs, block quotes, stuff we're going to go over. We're going to add some Materialize markups, some classes, and talk about it. That will be one lecture, and then the next one will be on text and background colors. You can see the name of this file is 2_2colors.html, and we look at the different colors, the darken and lighten classes, things like that. So for each lecture, we'll have a different page that we're going to edit and look at the classes and so on. All right, so section 2 and 3 will be on CSS components, so things like cards and tables and forms, things like that. And then 4 and 5 will be on JavaScript. So for instance, the carousel, we'll look at the collapsible tabs, things like that, parallax, so different JavaScript features. So this is basically the end result of the Sandbox. Okay, and this will be included in this particular lecture's files, but what's really important is the starter version of it. So you'll have a zip file called Materialize Sandbox Starter. That's what you want to download. All right, I have it right here, the zip file. So what I want you to do is create a folder somewhere on your computer and just call it Materialize_Sandbox. Okay, and open that empty folder. And then we're going to take all the files from the starter version. Okay, so it should look like this. We're going to grab everything here and just bring it over. All right, now this is your Sandbox to work with for the next few sections. So what I'm going to do is just open this with VS Code, which is the text editor I'm using. Feel free to use any other text editor. I would suggest having the files on the side here, though. All right, so let's quickly take a look at the structure. So like I said, we have an HTML file basically for every lecture for the next 4 sections. And if we look at the folders here, we have a local version of Materialize CSS. At this time, we're using version 0.100.2, which is the latest from materializecss.com. Now, version 1 is in alpha, and at some point that will be stable. When that happens, this course will be updated very soon after that. But for now, no matter what the latest version is, I would suggest using the version that comes in the Sandbox just so you don't run into any issues. And then the course will be updated later on. Okay, we also have just a style CSS in case we need any extra styles. But I don't think we actually do need that. Fonts, that's just the folder for the fonts that comes with Materialize. If I were to go to materializecss.com and download the package, this is what we'd get. Okay, excluding the images. The images are something that I added for cards and things like that. So we just have some high quality images to work with. Okay, in the JavaScript folder, we just have the general Materialize minified JavaScript. We're obviously not going to touch this file. We just need to include it for any JavaScript. Okay, we also need to include jQuery, but we're going to use a CDN for that. So to look at one of these files, they're all basically formatted the same as far as like the head, things like that. We're bringing in the material icons library. Materialize has its own icon library. We're bringing that in from Google APIs. We're also importing the Materialize CSS file from the local version that we have in the CSS folder. We're importing the styles CSS file. We have a viewport for responsiveness and mobile devices. And then down here, we just have the title of whatever the lecture is. Okay, you're not going to touch any of this. This is just the title, and then this is the menu. Okay, so this is that menu you saw with all the different links to the different lectures. So what you want to do is go down to where it says Start Here. Okay, nothing above start here do you need to touch, okay, unless we're specifically adding something maybe in a style or something like that above. But generally you're going to want to just scroll down to where it says start here, and then down here you'll see it says end here. I should put some spaces in there. Okay, so we'll be working with everything in between. And some things like headings, you'll see there's nothing here. We'll just start from scratch and put in our headings. Some things actually have some tags and content, and we'll just add our classes and so on, so you can learn about all the different classes. All right, and then down at the bottom, we just have jQuery included, our Materialize, JavaScript, and oh, this test right here. That won't be there for your version. That was just something I was testing out. And then here is where we're just initializing the drop-down menu, so you don't have to worry about this. Now, in some lectures, we will have to add some JavaScript, especially for 4 and 5, sections 4 and 5. So that's where we'll add JavaScript down here. So we have JavaScript start here. So I tried to lay it out in a very simple way that's understandable. And if we look at the next file, you'll see it's very similar. If we go down after the menu, it says start here, and this is where we'll be working. All right, and down here, you can see if we have some JavaScript to add, we'll put it down here. Okay, so that's what we'll be doing, guys. This is how the next 4 sections are going to work. Once we get through the sandbox, we're going to start to build some real projects. All right, but doing this sandbox will really teach you what's available with Materialize, as well as get you familiar with the syntax, with the classes, with what we can do with JavaScript, initialization, things like that. Okay, so in the next section, we're going to start and we're going to get into basic typography, alignment, things like that. So I will see you in the next video.